Hey, what's going on, traders? It's Chris at Vertical Trading. Hope you guys are having a nice day today. In this video, we're going to show some progress we've made using the advanced custom study language and interface in the software Sierra Chart, which is a trading software, the trading software that I use for day trading, swing trading futures. And basically this video is going to be, just showing you guys sort of certain things that I've done and been able to accomplish using the advanced custom study language, which is a form of C++, but it's all kind of very easy because all of the functions are well documented by the Sierra Chart engineers. And I just want to remind you guys that I am not a software engineer. I do not have any background in programming at all. It's only been a couple of months I've been doing this, but I've been able to do some pretty crazy stuff so far, stuff that is pretty much mind-blowing that you can probably not do in any other software. I'm just saying that. But anyhow, let's get to it right now. If you guys enjoyed this content, let us know down below, and that would be awesome. Let's have a chat if you have any questions about stuff. And also remember, I'm not a programmer, so I might not say always the perfect exact terminologies for what certain things are, but let's start off simple, and then towards the end of the video I'll go over the code and I'll show you guys how this stuff all kind of works, and let's get to it. The last time I left off showing you guys some stuff with my automated trading system that we're working on. We made some progress on that, but I guess June has been sort of an up and down month. I've been sort of taking some days vacation, so I work on it basically when I have time. So what we're gonna do to start is go over certain things basically. So I have a list of all of the changes that I've made every day. So every time I implement something or make a change, I always document it. I always write it down. So I think that's a good habit to have, because or else you're gonna go back to your code and you're not gonna know what the hell you were doing, okay? So where we can start here is I'm gonna show you the studies that are on my chart and how they all interact with each other. So the first thing I'm gonna do is point you guys over to the chart values window. This window is accessible in Sierra Chart when you have your chart selected and you go over to window and then chart values window. In this case, I've already enabled it and it is right here. So what this window shows you is all the details about the bars on your chart and any studies that are on your chart. Okay, so in this case, you can see here, there are a handful of studies that are already on the chart. So I guess we can start with this one right here, which is the bid-ask quantity triggered limit order. What this is a client-side order condition. And this is an order condition that is used to perform a similar function as a stop limit order. And basically it's in the case where you want to buy at a price higher than where the market is currently trading when the market achieves that price and all the other conditions are true. And the opposite would be sell at a price lower than where the market is currently trading and the other conditions are also true. So like in this case right here, 38, 20, and 50, if I submit my sell stop condition, I have to submit it below where it's currently trading. So for example, I'll place it right here using an advanced custom study shortcut, keyboard shortcut. In this case, you can see right here, the condition is now live on my chart. And just for the sake of this video, I will also just go over to the small camera. There we go. So you can see here now, there's a sell limit condition here, and there's a number 15 there. And I'm actually going to cancel it temporarily, and I'll put it lower just because I don't want it to trigger right now. I just want to show you guys the example. So the reason it's set to 15 is because the value is being sent to this study from another study. Okay, so I'll explain that as we go along here. It is a sell limit condition that has a bid-ask quantity condition to it. And the way this order will trigger is when in this case, it's a sell order, when the bid quantity at the price I submitted it at drops below my threshold, it will submit that sell limit order to be at the price. And since it is set to a value of 15, what it's attempting to do is it's attempting to hit the bid when there is 15 or less contracts on the bid. So essentially, it's kind of like a market order. In that instant where it will be submitted, it's going to be a marketable limit order. But there's also a case where orders get pulled so fast and my client side here is not fast enough to react. And if you had a simple market order there, it would experience slippage. And I do not know how much slippage. Sometimes it can be many ticks worth of slippage. If you're trading a thicker market with a higher tick value, that is not going to be good. So this submits a marketable limit order. And in the case that the orders are pulled away before your order gets sent to your trading service, it ends up with a limit order at the price And in the case of a seller, it would be on the offer, okay? And again, I probably, should have demonstrated that to you guys. I should have just let the original order fill, but it doesn't really matter in this case. This can be done through the chart trade menu, but actually I've disabled the chart trade menu items for my version of the study because I use advanced custom study buttons. If I press Shift B when I'm hovering over the price on the chart, it will submit that buy limit condition at the price that I'm hovering over. So what this essentially means here is that at this price of $38.19, when the market achieves that price and the offer at the price of $38.19 has 14 or less contracts, it will submit a marketable limit order to hit into $38.19. And of course, it is in anticipation that the market was going to blow through that immediately and we're going to end up in a trade with immediate edge, okay? But the way this is configured is so we cannot get any slippage on that. So it's the same thing as a stop order, except you can't get any slippage on it, and it's attempting to get you to fill as the offer or bid is leaving. And in the case that it leaves so fast that your order doesn't get triggered, you just end up with a limit order there with Q position, okay? That's what that study does. I hope I was able to explain it. Now, the next thing we can talk about is the value that's actually being sent into that study, okay? So now we're gonna go into the studies menu for the chart. I'll click on analysis and then studies, okay? So now these are the studies that are on my chart here. And we'll go into the bid-ask quantity triggered limit order, okay? The input in this study here, the second input here, is the bid-ask quantity threshold. Now, in the code of this study, I've actually set it so that it is getting the value from another study on my chart and it is inputting it into this input right here. I'm gonna close this window for now. I'm gonna go into this next study here, which is depth percentage. What this study is, I do have a video on this one, by the way. What this one does is it takes a certain amount of levels of market depth or the level 2 data, and it adds them all together, and then it divides them by the number of levels that are on there, and then it spits out a percentage of that number, okay? And in this case, the percentage I'm spitting out is around 25%, or in this case, 0.24945%. This number right here, 19 or 18, what that is it's all the levels of market depth that are displaying on my chart. I think it's set to 10 in this case. It's adding them all together, then it's dividing them by the total number of levels. In this case, there's 20 of them. And then it's taking 25% of that, and then that's the number right there, okay? Now, I'm not gonna explain to you why I chose 25%. That's gonna be beyond the scope of this, too complicated. It could be a video on its own, okay? But anyways, that's what it's doing, okay? So it's getting 18. So 18 is roughly 25% of the average liquidity at every price point right now in the marketplace. This for me is very good because this is a quick way of adapting to the amount of liquidity in the marketplace. That's why I created this, because the liquidity in the marketplace changes almost every single day, sometimes every single hour, right? You have times where the news changes the liquidity, and then towards the close of the market, cash market, the liquidity thickens up again. In that case, if you're using certain client-side conditions that react to market liquidity, like the bid-ask quantity triggered stop or limit order, then of course you want to have that set to a value that is relevant to the current market liquidity. Does that make sense, guys? So that's the reason why I did this. Okay, the next thing is, of course, with this value here, which is actually being put into a subgraph, so I will go into the studies menu again. I pressed F6 on my keyboard to get into the chart studies list here. I will click on the depth percentage study, and I will go to the subgraphs tab, and there's a subgraph here that is basically being populated with the result of the study for the depth percentage. The reason I had to input it into a subgraph is so that I can take that subgraph array and send it into any other study or any other study input that I wanted to, okay? Now, the next thing is here in this study depth percentage, the way I originally created this study, there was actually a block that I put in this study that what it would do is it would take the value from the depth percentage and it would actually send that into my trade order window and set the value of one of my stop orders. And in that case, I was using a bid-ask quantity triggered stop, and I would have it set the value of the bid-ask quantity triggered stop, or the threshold, to the value of the depth percentage, okay? So I've actually furthered upon this a little bit, and I've actually created a system that is attached with this study that what it does now is it will automatically set the attached orders for my chart, therefore my trading attached orders, it will automatically set them to specific values that are coming from another one of my studies, which is my volatility overlay study, which is a part of my automated trading system, okay? And that's why I called the study here depth percentage and then on-off auto attached orders. So it's really auto attached orders. The reason it's on-off is because I have an advanced custom study that if it is on, it will automatically set the attached orders. If it is off, then I can set the attached orders to whatever I want. So I'll just briefly demonstrate that to you guys right now. So I'll close this all right here. And I'm also going to bring over the trade window for this chart right here. And right now, as you can see, the auto bracket button here, the advanced custom study button that I've configured is on. So I will turn it off currently, and then I will go into my trade window for the chart and I will modify my stop. So I'll just increase the stop offset for the stop, and then I will submit an order here. And what we can see here is when we look at the chart, maybe I'll just move this over. What we can see is that the stop is, well, set pretty far away in this case, all right? So what I've done now, just to show you, is I've modified the stop offset. Okay, now what I'm going to do is enable the auto bracket order setting, and you're going to see that it will go ahead and change the stop back to what the value is that is based upon another study on my chart, which is my volatility overlay. So check this out. I'll press the button. Now watch this. It should take about 3 seconds, and there we go. The stop is automatically adjusted back to 2.06 points. Okay, so the reason for that is because in the case where I am taking my short-term trading system, where I'm operating within my volatility ranges, which is a shorter-term trading system that I have, I want my stops to be automatically adjusted to that. And that will also be dependent upon the bar period that I'm on and the market that I'm on. So it automatically adapts to whichever market is on the chart. It automatically adapts to the recent volatility of the current market. And of course, these values, these subgraph values, in this case here they will be different, of course, if I change the bar period of the chart, okay? For me, this is really convenient because it allows me to automatically have my bracket order set to relatively the right amount. Now, one thing or one issue that I did run into with this, and I'll just briefly show you, I'm gonna go into the code now and show you this. So I'll go into my .cpp file and I will go into this study here, which is named depth percentage. I'll go all the way to the bottom where we have the order structure. And you can see here, this is where the order structure is. So we have our if statement here, which is responsible for submitting this order structure, which is basically the auto setting of the bracket order. And it ends with this function right here, which is used to automatically set the bracket order in the trade window. Okay, so what we have here is, look at these commented out statements here. So what we have is attached order stop one type. I had originally set this to the order type bid ask quantity triggered stop. And in this case, the quantity triggered attached stop underscore quantity for trigger, which is basically the threshold for that order type, in this case was set to go and get the result of what this study was spitting out earlier, okay, which is that number 18 at the top of the chart. If you guys are still with me, by the way, remember to leave a like on this, by the way, because anybody who's still with me understanding what I'm talking about, you're either absolutely crazy or you're just interested, so that's cool. So what I did with this since then is I just basically turned it into a regular stop because this is going to be more friendly for, you know, a larger percentage of markets that you trade. But now here's the specific thing, is that if I was doing short-term niche scalping around volatility ranges in a short-term time frame, then I would want this most probably to be this order type right here. Okay, and this will depend on the market as well. What I would need to do is I would basically copy and paste this code, and in the second instance of the study, I would use a slightly different order type for the stop depending upon the market. So what I would do is copy paste the code, and then I would call that one depth percentage on off auto attached orders for bond trading. And that one would be using the bid ask quantity triggered stop, okay? But in this case, it's set to a regular stop order, and the other ones are just commented out temporarily. But I did it right here. Should create different versions of this study for different stop types and management, of course. If all of a sudden I want to switch and become a swing trader, I will not want to enable that bracket automatically setting itself, okay? On June 24th, 2022, added ACS button 10 combined with yes, no input to turn on and off the auto bracket order. So that's exactly what I just finished telling you guys. I did run into an issue with this one. Originally, I was trying to use ACS button 1, but another study was using this button, so it would cause the button to deactivate itself. Okay, so always be careful of that. So actually, this study right here, bid ask quantity trigger limit order, if we go into the code for this one, so basically for that particular study here, it's these lines that are responsible for the advanced custom study button. So just ignore the first little bit here. It's actually just this right here. So it's the if statement and then sc.menu event ID is equal to your ACS button that you want to choose. And then you go ahead and put this line in. In this case, ACS button 2, it turns on this persistent variable. It sets it to 1. When this is set to 1, it enables the subgraph and enables the buy order condition to work, okay? Most of this was already here. I just added in the ACS button on off, which is basically these two lines right here. And that is able to enable and disable the subgraph, which is responsible for the buy and sell order conditions. So ACS button 2 is responsible for setting R underscore order type to 1, which is a buy order condition. If we scroll further down, that's how it's configured. ACS button 3 is configured for the sell order condition. So it sets R underscore order type to -1. And then we have ACS button 1, which is set to basically reset all of those to 0 and remove that buy order condition off of the chart. So I'll just sort of show you how that's done now. And basically it's like this. So when I press ACS button 2, which is actually configured to be Shift B on the chart, and I'll just show you that. So global settings, customize keyboard shortcuts, then you have to find custom study control bar button keyboard shortcuts. There we go. ACS button 2, right there, Shift B. ACS button 3, Shift S. And ACS button 1, Shift C for canceling that condition. Okay, that's what they're set to. I'll close that for now. And then I'll show you again the buy and sell order conditions. Again, that's my buy stop condition. So Shift B right there above the current price, we have our buy limit condition, which is actually a bid ask quantity triggered limit order. Okay, and there we go. Shift S, submitted a sell, and Shift C will cancel that off of the chart entirely. And now again, I'll show you the implementation of an advanced custom study button the way I did it for the auto bracket order right here. So the way it's done in this study and also in the volatility study, the way I use that to activate and deactivate my orders, like for example, if I press this button, there we have a new block of orders submitted. If I press the sell order button, it should submit sell orders too. So now I have 2 parent sell orders, I have 2 parent buy orders, and then their attached targets and stops are also appearing, and I can't modify these orders. They will automatically modify themselves back to those subgraphs. And if I do cancel all my orders, since my buttons are still on here, all these orders should get resubmitted based upon my timer that I have set, which is 5 seconds. So in 5 seconds, when orders have been canceled, there's no existing order IDs, all my conditions are true, all the orders get resubmitted again after the timer is true, okay? Now when I turn off the buttons and I cancel the orders, then they won't appear, of course, because one of the conditions for the orders to be submitted is those buttons need to be on. And what those buttons do is when the button is enabled, it actually enables an input on the study. And I'll just go into the study itself here, and we'll go to that study volatility overlay or depth percentage. Either one has that input. So in this case, buy orders enabled is an input, which when you press the ACS button, it turns the input on. And when you turn off the button, it turns the input off. And the input being set to yes is one of the conditions that needs to be true for the buy order conditions to take place. Okay, so I'll just show you how that's implemented. The first thing is, let's go to, for example, the depth percentage study. And this is the one with the auto bracket order, the one I showed you earlier. So we have this input right here. I underscore enabled is the name of the input. Now I will go down here and we can see this input I underscore enabled dot name is given the name auto set the bracket order. It's set to a yes no here, so the default is off no. So I underscore enabled dot set yes no, the default will be off right there. And then what we have is this right here, which is pressing this ACS button will enable the enabled input, which needs to be on for the algo to work. So if sc.menu event ID is equal to ACS button 10 in this case, what we have is this. This block of code here, which is responsible for making it an on-off button. We have I underscore enabled dot set yes no, which gets set to the button state, which is on or off, 1 or 0. And we have this last line here, which is an SC function, sc.set custom study control bar button enable. And here we have the button number and the input on the study. When this button is enabled here, it sets yes or no for this input right here. That's what this does, okay? So now scroll further down to the bottom of the study. This is what the study is doing, all the calculations and all that. But remember, the order submission block for the automatic bracket order is all the way at the bottom here, and it has an if statement associated with it, which is this. If I_enabled dot get boolean is set to 1, which means it's on, then it goes ahead and executes the automatic bracket order. So that's how I can use a button to turn on and off certain functions. So it's pretty cool, guys. I hope you enjoyed this. Hopefully you learned from it. Maybe I went a little too fast. It doesn't really matter. If you want help with some of it, maybe send me a message. Probably I won't help you, but it doesn't matter. I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.